Hello, hello, and welcome. Happy Thursday Night Live, everybody. Good to see you all here. I'm David. This is Stephanie, and we've got a really exciting show for you tonight. We've been blessed to be able to showcase some of our current and former clients on the Thursday Night Live. And this is really powerful because a lot of you coming in for the first time aren't quite sure if change is really possible for you. And tonight's guest is really special. She's a former graduate of our Inner Circle program. And I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it's a really interesting story to hear, especially about her transformation. And Steph and I feel like a lot of you are really going to be able to resonate with this. Not only that, but get a lot of hope. Because like we always say, it doesn't matter how things got screwed up for you, how long you've been struggling in unhappy relationships and the aftermath of that. The reality is that things can transform dramatically for the better and probably a lot more quickly than you realize.
And in ways that you might not have even imagined.
100%.
Yeah. So we're really excited to introduce Shelley. Let's bring her on.
Drum roll.
What's up, Shelley?
Shelley, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for coming on. So we're really excited to share your story with everybody for a variety of different reasons. And, you know, you came to us from a very specific place, and I'm going to let you share your story because I think it's really important. But we love watching your journey, and part of the coolest thing that we get to do as coaches is we see where people start from and then where they are now, and it just gives us the feels to see that growth. So we wanted to share your journey with people that are watching now. So if you want to just kind of like tee it up and let the audience know, how were things before you started working with us? When you came to us, how were things going for you?
Well, at the time that I came to you, things were not going very good. I had just gotten out of a really bad relationship, which I thought I had grown a lot at that point. And for me to get back into that place where I was with an alcoholic who was controlling was very disheartening to me, to think that I had slid back into that. So basically, I grew up in a dry alcoholic family. My parents didn't drink, but they had the same behaviors as an alcoholic family. And so I grew up like trying to fix everything and conform myself to make everybody else happy and feeling like I wasn't good enough. I had a really low self-esteem, and I didn't know all of this, of course. And so as I got to be an adult, I went through life and got into relationships, and even friendships and romantic relationships always ended up being with people who were very controlling. Everything had to be what they wanted to be. I was the one that did everything, all the cooking, the cleaning, taking care of kids once kids came along, paying bills. I was usually the main breadwinner. And I kept wanting that love and attention, but they were always focused elsewhere. So the relationships would always end. And I was usually the one that ended it because I would get tired of being treated like that. Mm-hmm. So I was on my third marriage and had my daughter, and I caught him cheating and started going to counseling. And that's when I learned that I was codependent. And I went through about 10 years of counseling and thought I had grown a lot. I was in what I thought was a decent relationship, found out that, again, it was somebody who he wasn't a bad person. He wasn't mean. He didn't abuse me. He just didn't give me any attention. Like he was selfish, but in a nice way, like he just wouldn't do the things that I wanted to do, but he didn't like tell me what to do or whatever. So I ended up getting really upset because here I thought I had met somebody who was pretty healthy, and I was back in the situation of not getting any attention, not being my wants and needs not being met at all. And so I got out of that relationship and immediately got into another relationship with somebody who showered me with attention. Well, I jumped right into it without taking my time. And within a month, found out that he was an alcoholic who got drunk all the time, was very controlling, very demanding about things. And, so at this point, I'd been married 4 times. I was into another relationship that was bad. And I'm just like, I can't believe that this is where I'm at again. So I started counseling again, and I was looking for things online, and I came across Being Love Shouldn't Hurt. And I attended several of you guys' free sessions. And so I was one of the people that was like, yes, I want more information. And, you know, when I first started talking, I was like, oh, I can't afford that. I mean, I just got out of a relationship. I was starting over again. I had just bought a house, and I'm like, I don't have the money to do that. But I took the money that I had in savings that was slated for something else and was like, you know, I'm going to put it towards me. And it ended up being one of the best things I ever did. It was very scary at the time, but you know, the time that I spent with you guys, I mean, I've grown a lot. You know, I have been a teacher for 10 years, and I run my own classroom. And so I'm very strong with running my own classroom. But then when it comes to my superiors and stuff like that, I was not able to stand up for myself very much. And over the last year and a half, I've been able to tell them, no, that's not right, you know, and be able to stand up for myself a lot more. I've changed like a lot of the way I dress and the way I look so that I'm, and it's just because this is what makes me feel good. So, you know, looking good makes me feel good. And, also, after, I don't know, I think I'd been out of your program for about 6 months or so, I met a fantastic man who has also gone through his own journey, but he's very healthy, and he admits when he does things wrong, and he admits that he still needs to work on himself, but he is a true partner to me, which is the best thing ever. We go to counseling sessions together, and my counselor thinks he's wonderful. He listens to me. It's safe to talk to him about my feelings. Like sometimes I still get a little bit scared about opening up and talking about my feelings, but he always makes it safe. You know, he always shows me and tells me how much he appreciates me, but more than telling me, he shows me. That's the one thing I never got before. I was told I love you and told all these things, but he actually like reaches and holds my hand or gives me hugs or buys me a little something or sends me a sweet or romantic text or whatever. So I know that I'm loved. It's not just something that I'm told. So we've had some amazing adventures, and it's just been a great year and a half of growth. And I mean, things are not perfect. I still struggle sometimes with being strong or whatever, but I just remember the things that I was taught, and you know, I work through them, and now I'm in a much happier place. So
that's awesome. Awesome. And I think it really underscores the transformation, because again, we've all got, you know, work to continue to do as we grow. And you know what, I want everyone to really pay attention to what Shelley said is, again, we're talking 4 marriages, right? Toxic relationships, 10 plus years of counseling. Mm-hmm. And to the outside observer, one might think like, okay, you got it now, right? You figured it out. But it just goes to show you that sometimes when you don't have the right support and the right tools, it can be a challenge, and you can repeat that cycle over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. And again, we are psyched to get into like what's on the other side of this process. Certainly, again, it's ongoing, but when you make that major shift. But I wanted to kind of take a step back, Shelley, and because again, working with a qualified coach to get that level of personal attention is an investment, not only financially, of course, right, but also in your time, your attention, your energy. So let me ask you this: thinking back, what was it? Because you spoke with Steph initially. Again, you said you'd come to our Thursday night lives and watch some of those. But what was it about us or this program that kind of made you feel like, okay, these are the coaches I want to go with?
Well, I didn't really even know there were other coaches, honestly, at the time. Yeah. But what I really liked was that you guys had gone through a lot of the same things. And so I felt like I could have a real conversation, which my counselors haven't been through the same stuff I've been through. Mm-hmm. you guys have different tools. You're more set for people who are in my situation and other people like me. And it also was nice to be able to connect with the other people in the group that were going through the same thing and talk to them and get, I've made some friendships. I still have some of my group members that I'm still friends with. So, and we still encourage each other and stuff. So I think it was just the camaraderie and the feeling that I was also in the place where I was ready. I wanted to change. I did not want to ever go through that again. And I mean, breakups can still happen, but I did not want to go through getting in with another person who was only in it for what they could do. I needed to find the right thing for me. So.
I remember, it's interesting. You said earlier that you dress the way you feel comfortable and whatever. And I remember us talking about how there were things that you were interested in. And I think it was like Star Wars and like that kind of stuff. And you're like, I don't know if there's going to be people that like that. If I come out and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like there are guys that would love those things about you. And, I think it's so interesting how we have these ideas about things. So we kind of put ourselves into this box of like what we think is going to be acceptable. But all that was doing was taking away showing your light to the right people.
Right.
Did you notice that at all when you started to like step in, how the types of people that were coming into your sphere was starting to change a little bit?
Yes. I mean, they were definitely, I was able to spot the ones that were not good, a lot easier. But I definitely found a lot of people who liked the same types of things that I like. And the site that my boyfriend and I met on, my tagline was "Talk Nerdy to Me." Yeah. And he said that is exactly what caught his attention because he is a nerd just like I am. We both love Star Trek and Star Wars and superheroes and history. And I mean, you name it. Like I call myself an equal opportunity nerd because I love it all. So, so it was great. I just, I was my authentic self and he said he could tell that. And I had never been able to be that open before, which is really what drew him in, which is good. So.
Yeah, I think that's such a powerful aspect of this healing process too. Number one, being able to step into your true authentic self unapologetically. And one of the other things we see all the time is the heightened ability to recognize the people that aren't a good fit. Now, obviously, Shelley, having been through our program, it's a hybrid one-on-one / group coaching program. We take a comprehensive and holistic approach. But I'm curious to know between and you talked about the inner circle family, right? That group, having that support of like-minded women who are on the same path to healing. But between that and the one-on-one sessions with Stephanie, the weekly Inner Circle Live coaching calls, the Psych K sessions with me, would you say there was an aspect of the program that really made a shift for you, or something that you really liked the most?
I think the Psych K really had a big impact on my confidence. Because I noticed it started off as small things right afterwards. I was able to stand up for myself in this where I wouldn't have done it before. I was able to say that, but it's grown to where I've got a lot more confidence now than what I had before. So just practicing those things really helped bring it out. And I think just some of the self-reflection activities that you guys have us do, I would do them with you guys, and then I would also go and talk about it with my counselor. And so those really helped me work through some things and see some things that I hadn't seen before. So I think it was kind of a combination of all of it, really. So.
Awesome. And that's good that you bring that up too, because a lot of people ask, well, I have a therapist. Why do I need a coach? we always encourage you to get help on the level where the problem exists. And we don't throw shade at therapists at all. We chose the route of becoming coaches because we want to focus more on where you're going instead of necessarily looking back to unpack where you came from. But at the same time, we feel very strongly. In fact, a lot of the people who work with us, the most successful students, are the ones that have that sort of combined support system. They have a therapist, and it's really cool what you said, how there was sort of a synergy there, where what you were experiencing and learning to look at in our program was also helpful in the realm of therapy as well.
Yeah, my counselor was wonderful because she was really on board with me doing the work with you guys and then taking that as my homework for counseling and discussing it and like integrating it all. So it's been really good. And once I was through the program with you guys, but I hadn't gotten through all of the steps, then I just continued with her with the steps until I was finished.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us how are things now? I mean, that's, you started telling us a little bit about how, you met this great guy and everything else. And I'm going to take a step back too. I mean, you were someone who went from relationship to relationship. And so it sounds like, so you took some time to really take that time for you. And then you got to meet this really, really good guy. Do you think that taking that time was really important for you to really figure out who you are and what you wanted so that you were able to attract this great guy?
Yes. So one of the things I remember when I first started with you guys is you mentioned making a list of exactly what I wanted out of a relationship and not compromising on it at all. And so I made a list of exactly what I wanted. And I actually shared it with my sister and my best friend at the time. And they helped me with a couple more things that were good things, like some parenting tips and stuff like that. And so I had this pretty comprehensive list, and I met people and they were like, nope, they don't check that off. Nope, they don't check that off. So I wasn't even, and it's like I wasn't even interested because they didn't check those things off, And when I met Stefan, he checked everything off except one, and he wasn't tall. He's only about 3 inches taller than me, but that's like not really a big deal. All the important things he checked off. And so that was one of the big things. And another thing I wanted to say is that it's not just my romantic relationship, but my friendships too, is I've changed it. I mean, my best friends now are not the people that I was really hanging out with before. Like I really wanted people who were going to support me and care about me instead of just what they could get out of a relationship. And so I've changed my girlfriends too. So I have people now who check in on me and ask me how I am, and it's not all one-sided and what they want to do all the time. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. That's a really important point you bring up too, Shelley, because obviously the entry point to our world is romantic relationships. But once you get in, you start understanding, okay, the number one most important relationship to heal is the one with myself.
Right.
And then from there, and we see this all the time. I mean, certainly true in my life, because I used to run with the wrong crowd, people who were selfish and, troublesome, I might say. But when you get in touch with who you really are and start to live authentically, to forgive yourself, to learn how to truly love yourself, and not in an arrogant way, but in a humble way, it changes your barometer, almost maybe your BS meter.
Right.
And one of the sometimes unforeseen side effects of doing this work is that people who are in your life who depended on you being who you were sometimes kind of fall off, right?
Because they don't like the new you. They want old you.
The good thing about that is it clears up space for new wonderful people and experiences to come in. And that's one of the things that people don't even necessarily realize is a possibility when they start this journey. They're like, I just want to heal my pain. I want to get over my toxic ex, whatever the case is.
Right.
But, we find that, and again, that's part of the reason we take a holistic approach to support you mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, spiritually, even, so that the whole paradigm can potentially shift. So that's great to hear. And I mean, again, healthy romantic love is great. Yes. But having good people, good friends, support network people who, like you said, check in on you, support you in your goals, non-judgmental. That's a beautiful thing to have.
Right.
So how are things going now, and how do you see things moving forward for yourself?
Yeah, what's ahead for you now?
Yeah.
Well, things are going really great. I've been doing a lot of traveling, which is one of my loves. And, my daughter's about ready to turn 18, and my boyfriend lives in New Mexico and I live in Alaska. So we've been doing this long distance relationship. But at the end of this upcoming school year, I'm going to be moving down to New Mexico to be with him. And so we're working on getting my daughter set up to be successful at 18 and being on her own, because she wants to stay up here with her friends and stuff. And so we have already plans in motion to continue traveling, and how we're going to make sure, and we're working on getting me debt free. He's already debt free. So I've actually taken on a second job right now that I'm doing just to get debt free, so that we don't have to worry about any kind of debt or anything. And I mean, the future is looking pretty bright to me. I mean, I'm going to be stable. I'm going to be debt free. I'm going to be able to do the things I love, like travel. And I've already talked to some people down there. I'm really into theater. A couple of theater companies down there that in the local area that I can get involved with. So, and I've already started making some friends out of the people that he knows down there. So I won't be walking in with nothing, and his whole family's like embraced me. And so, I feel like I belong to part of a family, and my extended family is close because they live in Colorado. So we've been going up more often to go see my dad and my uncles and stuff who are really supportive. So yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
Could you have imagined before you started working with us, when all the crazy stuff was going on, could you imagine that this would be your life now?
No, I mean, I always liked to travel, but I always went like to my sister's house or whatever, So now we're doing new and exciting things all of the time. I mean, I climbed to the top of a Mayan pyramid just recently, and, so a lot of really fun things. And I would have never expected to move, even if I was completely on my own. Like, this has always been home. This is what I know. And I'm going to be completely going out of my comfort zone to go move somewhere else. And it's going to be a grand adventure.
Love that.
It really is. It's amazing. And that's, I think that's one of the things, like, I would have never expected to be here, when I was in those toxic relationships. I think that when you're in it, it's so hard to see outside of the box that we feel like we're in.
Yes.
But once we get out of it, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, there's possibility everywhere. Yeah. And now, I mean, like you said, you already love to travel, but now you're doing, it's like so much more. It's like so more grand, And I think that's what's so cool about all of this, is that we can expand ourselves in a way we never could have imagined before. And again, that's why, one of the reasons why we love watching all these great things. So what would you say to anyone that was like on the fence, where they're like, maybe it worked for Shelley, but I don't know about me, or, they just have whatever fears they have about taking that step? What would you say to someone who's in that place?
I mean, it is a lot of money, and it's scary to come up with that kind of money. But you're worth it. And so if you can possibly swing it, I would suggest it, because it can make a lot of difference if you work the program, if you do the work, and it's not easy. I mean, there was a lot of times when I was doing the work where I cried, but you can work through it, you get through that stuff, and then, your life is better overall. So go for it.
Awesome. We love that. And again, we have ways to work with pretty much anyone, regardless of their financial situation, because we know that people need the help. But I think what stands out the most, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but I know for myself, one of the key elements of achieving what I'd call my dream life now was not losing hope that real change is possible. And again, the entry point to our world again is romantic relationships, but we're not dating coaches, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's more about becoming a person who feels whole, who feels balanced, peaceful, loved, and lovable. whether you're in a relationship or not.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is not a one size fits all. This is not like, oh, Steph and Dave are going to tell you how to live your life. We're always supportive of our clients' bigger goals, and we certainly encourage you to dream big and stay inspired. That being said, as we kind of feel like the mama and papa bear of the inner circle family, we want the best for you. And I got to say, it's kind of cool to watch, because again, obviously you found a healthy relationship now. You're learning and growing. You're supporting one another, and you did the exercise to get clear on what you wanted. You took steps despite your fears and didn't settle. And again, from our perspective now, we get to see that. And it's funny. I was just thinking to myself, like when our clients get to that point where they're starting to, put out the vibe for like, okay, I'm open to a possible relationship. Like even in my own mind, I'm kind of putting out the vibe. I'm like, that guy that finds her is going to be so lucky and so grateful that she's done the work. Because again, I feel like that's how it was with Stephanie and myself. A perfect partner for you is not a perfect person who was born flawless and didn't have any problems.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think a measure of a person's character is not how easy they've had it. It's about how difficult they've had it, and more importantly, the degree that they've overcome that. So don't doubt at all, Shelley, that like we see your adventures with Stefan on Facebook, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and he better be good to her.
He better be good. And I'm like, she seems to have picked a good one.
Yeah.
He happens to be pretty handsome.
Yes.
In fact, he's bald with facial hairs.
Yeah.
But nevertheless. But no, it's really good to.
And we trust you to make the right decisions. And also, that's one of the things too, is that I think as we go through the process, it's also trusting ourselves to make the right decisions, and also trusting ourselves to make the hard decisions. So if something is not what we want, we're not that it doesn't cause sadness, but we're okay with moving on to what will be good for us. And I see that in you. Not just talking about Steph, I'm just talking about in general, your life is to be able to stand up and, like you said, speak up for yourself, use your voice to share all those great things that you have inside of you that you had not been sharing before.
Right. I want to say something about something David just said. So, I was worried, especially when we first started going through this program, that like a healthy man wouldn't want me, because I had been married numerous times, and I had a past, but he is actually like, I'm okay with that, because you've done the work to get where you are, and he's proud of me for doing it. So that's another thing that's really important, because I was worried about that at the time. So
I remember that. I forgot. And thank you for bringing that up, because that is so important for people to realize. We feel like we're damaged goods.
Right.
And again, we play small because we think we're damaged goods.
Yeah.
And then we accept people we shouldn't accept. And we're just, continuing the cycle. Where here, you did the work, you changed that thinking, and then you attracted a really great guy. Yeah. So that's awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. Now we're getting close to the end. Is there anything that you like, any last minute things that you want to kind of share with people that are watching, your 2 cents, any takeaways, anything else you want to share?
I can't think of anything else right this moment.
Well, you shared a lot, Shelley. It's an awesome story. And again, your story is so important to us too. And I think everyone watching, because like we've talked about, so many people feel like they've got a long history. And again, you are not alone by any means in having been through multiple, marriages, failed relationships, done the hard work, and hadn't to a point maybe seen the results that you had hoped for, but you didn't lose hope. You were fearful because working one-on-one for a period of months with expert coaches is not pocket change, but it's an investment. You took the leap of faith, and we thank you for your good faith in us. But the point is that, again, it doesn't matter how long you've been struggling. As long as you don't give up hope, you can have it all. And again, knowing that you can be your authentic self unapologetically, and not attract a good relationship because you get better at being coy or smart or slick, but actually just being unapologetically you. You know, while it may be true that your perfect partner is 1 in a million, until you embrace and believe that that person is out there, you're never going to find them.
Right.
But, you know, fundamentally, the way I see it, part of our approach and understanding is that it's not about getting better at, you know, browsing the dating apps. It's not about getting better at like going through the haystack.
Yeah.
It's about becoming fundamentally someone who magnetizes the right people, the right circumstances, the supportive thoughts and feelings to you.
Right.
And it's kind of magical in that way. And for me, and I think you and Steph, and probably a lot of people who've worked with us, it really is a paradigm shift. So granted, you know, some people aren't ready for this. You were fearful, understandably, right? But obviously it was your time. You were ready. And you know, hopefully some people watching are inspired by your story. I think a lot of them will. And if you're feeling that vibe, like, okay, I have hope that something can change. I'm willing to do something different. Put faith in myself. You know, drop us a message, comment, chat in the comments if you want to find out if this could possibly work for you. And even if it's not a matter of hiring us, we'll have a chat and point you towards the best direction, give you a solid blueprint, a game plan for how to take action if you are ready to take action. I'll remind you again, because that's what Shelley said. She took action to do something different. And though it may be scary, you'll have us to guide you along the way, to support you, to encourage you. And again, in my experience, Shelley's, Stephanie's, and so many other people we've worked with, it's absolutely worth it. And, you know, the question becomes like, how much more time are you going to waste reliving the past before you say enough is enough? I'm worth a better life.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah,
thank you again to
everybody.
Shelley. Awesome seeing you again and catching up with you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. Like David said, I think it's so inspiring. And again, you know, I think when you're in it, it's so hard to see outside and to see someone who's been through the process, who's living a life that's far different from what they were living before. You know, really stepping into your power and continuing to step into your power. I mean, that's where growth is. It's continual growth, you know, throughout your life. And I see you doing those things. And so we're so proud of you. We're so excited for your future and all the great things. And we're going to keep, you know, Facebook stalking you.
Cheering you on.
Cheering you on. Yeah. But we love watching all those great things. It's like, you know, we get to work with such amazing clients, and then for them to be released and to go and spread their wings and step into all of it is just such a beautiful thing to experience on our side. It is the reason why we do it. You know, so thank you for coming on, agreeing to come and hang out with us and share your story with everybody in the group. And again,
if anyone wants to see if the transformation like Shelley's is possible, comment the word chat. We'll have a chat, you know, see where you're at, and if it makes sense to gain some real leverage, because, you know, the reality is the life that you dream of could be a lot closer than you think. So thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful Thursday, and we will see you in the group.
never forget, you are way stronger than you realize.